Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Buckle up. Here we go for the next 2 hours here on Undisputed. We were on for, as you know, just 1 hour the last couple of days. Now we've advanced back to 2 full hours, 10 to noon Eastern today. As we head toward, I don't know, in the near future, maybe back to the normal 2.5 hours. We sure hope so. All I can tell you right now is I have never been more excited about a topics list as I am about today's, and I have never been more confident I can win every single debate for the next 2 hours, which means it's time for me to bring in my debate partner, a man who actually does need an introduction. I think a lot of our people out there on TV land have forgotten he did once upon a time in a land far, far away. He played football. I think that's what I'm told. It was way before my time. And legend has it, he was even voted into the Hall of Fame, maybe as a senior member. I don't know how. His name is Shannon Sharpe. Hello, Shannon. How are you?
I'm doing fine. You requested a beat down for 2 hours. An hour wasn't enough. Normally, like if I got a whipping from my grandmother, I didn't say, well, Granny, next time, can you beat me for a little longer? You asked for an additional hour to feel this pain?
I did. And as everybody does obviously know, all I ever hear from that guy through that camera is that he won 3 rings. He was actually like half a Jordan. He was 3-0 in Super Bowls, as opposed to Michael Jordan being 6-0 in NBA Finals. And Shannon Sharpe is coming to you live from way up the hill, up the street called Beverly Glen in Bel Air from his palatial estate. I think he's coming to you from the wine cellar. But today, can't wait for this. We're going to talk about whether Tom Brady could win his 4th MVP next year in Tampa Bay. I love that topic. And I also really love this one, whether if LeBron won another championship this year, that would be his 4th, would it be tainted? Shannon's going to hate that topic. And how about this one, the all-time great barbershop debate, Randy Moss or Jerry Rice, who you got? And finally, could Cam Newton fit? Could Cam Newton be Bill Belichick's next quarterback in place of Tom Brady? But today, we start with my Dallas Cowboys. Dak, reportedly back at the negotiating table with Jerry Jones. Shannon Sharpe, I ask you, does this mean a deal is coming soon?
Yeah, the most important thing this offseason for the Cowboys is to get this deal done, because they know their season is pending on Dak being happy, Dak being in OTAs, Dak being in mini camps, whenever that were to take place. Skip, look, last year this was an 8-8 ball club. They lose Travis Frederick. They lose Randall Cobb. They lose Byron Jones. Who have they replaced these guys with? No one. Now, remind you, you're 8-8. You haven't replaced those guys. Now, Dak doesn't show up for OTAs. Dak doesn't show up for mini camp. There's a possibility he might not show up for training camp, because here's the thing. His only leverage now is the threat of holding out during OTA. That's his only leverage. He has no more leverage now, because they've tagged him, put the exclusive tag on him. He can't do anything. No other team can talk to Dak. Dak can only threaten. Okay, we got a new head coach. We're supposed to have 3 mini camps. I'm not showing up to any of them. We're supposed to have OTAs. I'm not coming. Okay, what you gonna do? Jerry has already talked about his football mortality. He says, if I can just win one more of these things, he feels like there's something missing, because he had such success. That tree bared so much fruit in the beginning of Jerry's tenure of owning the Cowboys, and now he's gone 25 years without having another bite of that fruit. He knows everything that he wants and hopes is pending on getting Dak signed to a long-term deal and Dak being happy. Dak's not happy right now. You know, no one is happy with the franchise tag, especially someone that feels they've earned it over a 4-year stretch in which he made slightly more than $4 million, go to 2 Pro Bowls, Rookie of the Year, and he wins a playoff game. Dak says, okay, the ball's in your court now.
Okay. Allow me to start by saying this isn't just good news for me. This is great news. This is the first ray of light I've had this entire postseason with my Dallas Cowboys. You mentioned all the defections. It's been one after another. Robert Quinn, obviously, and Byron Jones and Randall Cobb and blah, 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 blah. And then we lost the great Travis Frederick, as you point out. And it's been nothing but woeful news within the world of sports for me with my Cowboys and obviously out in the real world. But this is not good, but great news, because I believe, Mr. Sharpe, this signals the end of this impasse, this long stalemate, this drawn-out, unbelievably awful battle between the franchise quarterback and Jerry Jones. And I believe that once Jerry had to tag Dak Prescott at the deadline, the resulting fallout from that was so negative for both sides that cooler heads finally started to prevail. There has been some thawing, there has been some mediating, and maybe they're about to meet in a middle ground where they can actually, dare I say this word, compromise. Because remember, both sides have a lot to lose because, as you point out, this is the essence of the offseason for Jerry Jones. It should have been the essence of last offseason. This deal should have been done a year ago. You know it, and I know it. But I still believe that Dak was asking for what I would consider, and I think everybody, if they actually knew the number, and we don't know the exact number, but I think Dak and his new agent, Todd France, were asking for out-of-bounds money, out-of-this-world money, beyond Patrick Mahomes' money, to the point that even Jerry Jones said, no, that's too rich even for my blood. And as you know, Shannon, his reputation, Jerry's, has always been for overpaying his stars. I thought he overpaid Zeke, who did not live up to his deal. I definitely think he overpaid all of the offensive line, and none of them really lived up. You might say Lyle Collins did, but none of them really lived up to their deals last year. DeMarcus Lawrence did not live up to his $100 million deal. I don't even think Jalen Smith lived up to his new deal last year. But Jerry has a reputation for overpaying his sons. And you would think his ultimate son would be his quarterback. But that's not the case because, Shannon, as you know, Dak has Heisman posed Jerry Jones from the start. And it's been a good thing for his leadership in the locker room because, you know, all the players can trust that, well, this isn't like Tony Romo, who is definitely like a son to Jerry. We can trust that Dak is a straight shooter.
Right.
He's not a double agent. He's not going to two-face us and tell us one thing and Jerry Jones the other thing. He's going to play hardball with Jerry Jones. So I was afraid that the hardball was going to have ramifications into what you have predicted, which is holding out of OTAs, maybe holding out of training camp. Who knows? Maybe even holding out of real games and going Le'Veon Bell on the Dallas Cowboys. And to me, knowing Jerry the way I've known him, and I wrote 3 books that heavily involved Jerry Jones, when they leaked the fact, and it started with WFAA TV in Dallas, so that was a straight leak, I believe, from Jerry himself. If WFAA leaks that they're back at the negotiating table, I think that's the first huge, great sign that a deal is imminent. I think the ground has finally broken, and I believe in the very near future, they will announce that they have finally, cooler heads prevailed, come to terms. What do you think of that?
Well, you better hope so. Because here's the thing, Skip. If we look at it, you look at Tom Brady's press conference. Tom says, I don't really want to dwell on the past because I'm worried about the future. And it's not what have you done, it's what will you do. So if that's the case, if you're not going to pay Dak on what he's done in the previous 4 years, which is win 2 divisions, win Rookie of the Year, And you know what? He finished third in the league in passing, which was a couple of yards short of the Cowboys record. What do you believe Dak is going to be able to do moving forward? Isn't that how you're supposed to pay someone, Skip? Isn't that what the contract about? It's not lifetime achievement. It's not about what you've done in the past. You tell me all the time, they can't pay a player based on what he's done. They're paying a player based on what they believe he can do. Now, if you don't believe Dak is going to win you Super Bowls, if you don't believe Dak is your franchise guy, why are you dilly-dallying around? Why are you wasting this man's time? Because you know you believe he can do it. They believe he can do it, but they want to get him at the cheapest price possible. Like you said, Skip, Jerry Jones is a negotiator. Jerry Jones has pride. His pride is, man, if I can get Dak for less than market value, I've done a great job. Dak Prescott says, no, that was always the rule. Dak was never going to give Jerry a discount. And especially, we look at all the deals of big quarterbacks that's gotten done over the last year. Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff. Everybody had multiple years left on their contract when they got their money. Dak has no years left. And you want me to take less money than some of the guys that had 2 years left when I have none. I wish I might. And y'all need to stop bringing up, well, what about all the No. Don't worry about what money I make, Skip. Let me say for the sake of argument, I got a friend and he says, you know what, Shannon? I got this hot stock coming out. Nobody really knows about it yet, but I think it's going to be good. I take my money. I invest in it. I hit it big. Fox can't come to me and say, well, Shannon, you know you made it big on that stock now, so you don't cut us a little slack. That ain't got nothing to do with you. What I do outside of the Cowboys has nothing to do with the Cowboys. If I got 100 commercials, don't worry about that. Worry about what I do in the locker room. Worry about what I do on the field. And if that doesn't concern what I do in endorsement deals, get that man $80 million, fully guaranteed, $120 million guaranteed, and we got us a deal. Other than that, kick rocks.
Okay, well, I'm going to kick rocks back at you because obviously if Dak Prescott were the quarterback of the Detroit Lions, he would not have 12 national TV commercials. He is the quarterback of America's team, and he benefits greatly. He would not have 12. It's something about that star on the side of your helmet. You can ask Troy Aikman or Tony Romo or Roger Staubach. You are blessed. You are it. You are seen nationally as godlike because you're the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. And again, Dak's not a real entertaining guy in and of himself. He doesn't have great off-field charisma. He's not exactly a quote machine, but at last count, he has a dozen national TV commercials because he's the quarterback of America's team. So you have to take some of that into consideration.
Why?
Now, you also have to, well, you just do because you wouldn't get that in Detroit or Tampa Bay where Tom Brady is right now or Miami or anywhere else. There is something about the Dallas Cowboys, which is why they are the most valuable team in all of sports in the world.
Skip, how about this here, Skip Bayless? Let me tell you how this works. If you're great and you play that position, you're going to get commercials where no matter where you are. Dan Marino sold isotona gloves in Miami, Florida. When was the time you ever go leave gloves in Miami?
Okay, that's one. He didn't have 12. You know it, and I know it. So here's the point. What just happened. Yep. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Make your point. No, go ahead and make your point.
Look, the reason they're back at the table is in large part because of those 12 national TV commercials, because the fallout was so negative from the franchise tag. Here I am on Undisputed saying, I think Dak's getting a little greedy here, that I think Dak was starting to get a little nervous about losing some of those endorsements because it just looked bad. It was a bad look for Dak Prescott. And Jerry was starting to look bad because he's got a lot of endorsers that buy his product too. And it was starting to develop real negativity around it that they've never had. Because remember, Jerry the franchise has never used a tag on a quarterback before. And as you and I both agree, it's the one thing we do agree on. there's nothing good that ever comes of a franchise tag. So I think that the PR negativity of this brought both sides back to the table because it was starting to feel like damaging going forward for both sides to be fighting because there's a tag in between them. Go ahead.
Guess what, Skip Bayless? Because I have 12 endorsement deals, I can sit on my hands and chill. I ain't got nothing to worry about because those checks, they're still cutting those checks. Yeah. So, Jerry, do your little thing. Do what you need to do. You and Steve, you get out there and talk about if it doesn't feel good to me, I'm not going to do the deal. Guess what? Dannon and AT&T and Pepsi and Tostitos, they still cutting checks. I'm good over here. I'm cool. Do your thing. But I tell you what you won't do. You won't win a Super Bowl without me.
Well, I hope they can win a Super Bowl with him because if he wants beyond Patrick Mahomes' money, there's not going to be any salary cap left to have any supporting cast around.
What I got to do? Hold up, Skip.
And by the way,
what?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I was trying to say, what that got to do with that? Skip, you told me every person is a corporation. Google ain't got no business worried about what AT&T or what Microsoft. They got no business worried about what they doing. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't have a salary cap. The NFL has a salary cap. I don't.
Salary cap. Tom Brady took far, far less than what he deserved for 20 straight years in New England. You know it and I know it. And the reason he did it was so Belichick could have more cap room to build around him until Belichick let the whole thing sink right into the sunset last year.
Skip, what did that get? At the end of the day, after all those years of taking less money, they still say, get up out of here. So Dak said, and think about it, Skip. Now, let's just say for the sake of argument, Dak says, you know what, Jerry, I'm going to cut you a little slack. I'm going to do what you asked me to do. And he goes out there this year, and Lord God forbid something unforeseen were to happen. He gets injured. He getting all that money. Yep. He gonna get that 4 years, $150 million that they promised him? No. Skip, I need all that. Now, maybe after this contract, maybe I might be willing to cut you slack, give you a little haircut. But not the first time around, Skip. Not the first time around.
Okay, think about this. Right now, we don't know exactly what the tag cap, the tag hit will be against the cap. So right now, Dak is supposed to be counting this weird 26.8 million number, but you know and I know in the end, that's going to go up to around 33-ish. So right now, Jerry, who's always scored with the low end of free agency, the bargain basement deals, is hamstrung because he's still not sure how much the exclusive tag will count against next year's cap. So he needs to get Dak done for whatever money it's going to be so he can keep going back into free agency to get the next Randall Cobb, who you recall they got last year, 1 year for only $5 million. That was a real bargain for Randall Cobb, who then went to Houston and got $9 million a year for the next 3 years. So right now they have an issue with, go ahead.
And they got Robert Quinn on the cheap. Remember, they got Robert Quinn for $8 million last year. And Robert Quinn parlayed that into $13 million with 30 fully guaranteed.
He did. Got it. So I'm told right now that the main issue is an issue that I believe they can resolve. And it's not the exact dollars, 40 million a year or 150 million guaranteed, whatever that is. It's just years. It's 4 years. Dak wants 4 versus 5. Jerry wants 5. Because as you know, Jerry's notorious for the longer deals, 5-6 year deals, so that he can spread the bonus out and prorate it over the years against
over the life
of the
contract. Correct.
So
that is correct.
Correct. So if it's only 4 years versus 5 years, I think they can resolve that. I'm feeling real good about a deal coming way sooner than later. I was, even yesterday, I thought this thing was going to bleed on into next year. And now the sun is rising for me, and I'm starting to wonder, wait a second, how about them Cowboys? They just might get this deal done quickly. And if they do, I think dominoes are going to fall because I think they'll go out and pick off a few bargain basement free agents that'll be very valuable for the sake of the whole team next year. Your thoughts on that?
For me, Skip, I just don't see how the deal get done unless you can somehow guarantee Dak Prescott $70+ million in the first 2 years. I just don't see you can do 4 years, you can do 3.5, you can do 3.25. Dak Prescott is looking for maximum dollar over the first 2 years of the contract because after that, Skip, all bets are off. After that, basically after you get past the first 2 years, you can just start ripping up the contract because either they're going to look for you to move on, or they're going to come back to you and tear it up because it's like you're making too much money. So I'm not even worried about the last, if it's a 4-year deal, I'm not worried about year 3 and 4. If it's a 5-year deal, I'm not worried about 3, 4, and 5. How much am I going to make the first 2 years of the deal? Dak Prescott said, look here, Jerry, what you got on this? You got $70+ million sitting in your mattress? Because I know you got one of those big old palatial estates up there in Highland. What do you say you stay? Highland Park? Is that what Jerry stayed?
Yep.
Highland Ranch?
He does. Mm-hmm.
So I need you to go.
Right there by SMU in the middle of Dallas. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, I need you to go back to that old back bedroom, and I need you to cut open that mattress and pull out $70+ million and bring it to Todd France, and we got us a deal. But for first 2 years, I need the first 2 years fully guaranteed.
You keep forgetting everybody has the same size mattress. Everybody has to cut open the same mattress every night and pull out exactly. He does not. He has the exact same size salary cap mattress. Everybody does. And you can cut open your mattress and pull out your cash that you stashed. And all of a sudden, everybody's cash is going to run out at the same figure because it's capped. And the players just agreed once again to a hard salary cap as opposed to the NBA's soft cap that it feels like it didn't cap at all to me.
Skip, you know what? Even at the cap, one of the problems that I have with the CBA, and you know I have many, is that the mere fact that you still allow the NFL to have a tag. You can do soft, hard, medium. It doesn't matter. Lukewarm, poached, over easy. It doesn't matter. The fact that you allowed the NFL to keep this tag.
No, nobody, it's not I allowed them. The players just voted for it. They ratified that deal. New CBA, next 10 years, right?
Yeah, because you know, because here's the thing.
Don't blame it on me.
A lot of these, no. I'm not blaming you because here's the thing. Skip, a lot of these guys are looking, I'm never going to be able to get tagged. So I'm never going to be that 1%er that has to worry about this. So let me go ahead and collect this extra $50,000, $100,000 or whatever they're going to get, whatever the minimum, I think the minimum salary now is going to be $650,000 or something like that, Skip. But for Dak, having to wait to the end of his deal, having to navigate shark-infested waters and to come out the other side huffing and puffing. And so now you're saying, yeah, I know you did that. And it was great, Dak, that you did that. But now we need you to give us a hometown discount. Nah, Dak said, I'm good, cuz.
Okay. I still believe Dak and his new agent, Todd France, were asking for the first 2 years of 40+ guaranteed. So if you're right, if it's 35-ish or 36 or somewhere in there guaranteed for the first 2 years, I'm great with that. And I believe Jerry would be great with that. And if somehow they can have a meeting of the minds over 5 versus 4, maybe you up the annual just a little bit more for 5 years, maybe Todd France can say, okay, let's go ahead and give him 5 because he's giving us a lot more. And I know with the new TV deal down the pike somewhere, everything's going to go up. Yeah, I got it. You
said we got a new TV deal?
I still say, yep.
You didn't tell me about the new TV deal. Now I want $80 million, fully guaranteed.
Well, it's coming. Okay.
Well, thanks for telling me.
I'm just saying, I'm glad you're not at the negotiating table, and I'm glad they're back because I have a real good feeling about a Jerry Jones who always says, when have you not known me to get one of these things done? And I've always said, well, Jerry, only now with Dak. That's the first time in your history with the Dallas Cowboys you didn't get one of these deals done. And I think now it's about to happen. Way to go, Jerry Jones. Way to go, Dak Prescott. No mercy. Shannon Sharpe, I am starting to get the feeling that Tom Brady could win his 4th MVP next year with Bruce Arians in Tampa Bay. Could you see that happening?
Well, you know what? When this crowd goes down, you need to go to the drugstore and get something for that feeling, because that it'll go away once you put this salve on it, because I don't know what you're feeling. Skip, you need to stop this. Just because Tom Brady is going to a new team does not automatically equate to him winning the MVP. Our Fox bet got Tom Brady 8th behind, guess who, Skip? Guess who's number 1? Mahomes, boy. Hold on. Did Patrick Mahomes retire? Did he's like, you know what, I'm out of here. After 3 years, I win the league MVP, I win the Super Bowl MVP, I'm done. Where did he go? So now all of a sudden, Tom Brady is better than Patrick Mahomes? In what life? Now, I'm not talking about what he's accomplished. You will find no general manager, no head coach that'll tell you right now, Tom Brady is better than Patrick Mahomes, boy. Can you say that, Skip? Is Tom Brady better? No, it's not your turn there. It's still my turn. So he's 8th. He's behind Dak, behind Walk It To Him, Russ, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers. Lamar Jackson is the reigning MVP. Skip, stop this notion, man. Look, and here he is. This is funny. Guess what, Skip? Guess what happened? For all those years, everybody said he can do more with less. Now, guess what? Tampa has to do more with less, because he's not going to make those guys better. They're going to pull his butt up. But, ooh, Skip, did you know that? Those guys are proven commodities. So this notion that Tom Brady, you do realize Tampa last year, they were 3rd in scoring, 3rd in total offense. This is not like when Peyton went to Denver. He took an offense that was 25th in scoring to number 2. None of those guys went to the Pro Bowl before Peyton got there. And then all of a sudden, Demaryius Thomas, Julius Thomas, Eric Decker landed in the Pro Bowl. Huh? Wow, Skip. This is a shame. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, Skip. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, because the thing is, I've never seen anything like this in all my years. In all my years of covering football, playing the game, I've never seen a guy more protected. You keep talking about the media and everybody protects LeBron James. It's nothing like this. I remember Peyton Manning would throw for 400 yards. They would lose the game and nobody would say anything about Dungy's defense. They were talking about Peyton Manning can't win the big one. Tom Brady lose a game, and the first thing you and others like you holler, well, you remember when Coach Belichick's defense gave up 41 points in the Super Bowl? What? Well, he had him in position to be the number 2 seed. Huh? As bad as he played last year, you want to put everything on the defense. Well, I'm happy. I'm happy that he gets to go somewhere. He's happy. He feels appreciated. The nice sunshine will hit his warm bottom. But at the end of the day, Skip, he's going to be 43, and those other guys aren't going anywhere, and he's not winning no MVP, and they're not winning the Super Bowl. So get that thought out of your mind.
Finally, you're done, and it's my turn. Not only am I not ashamed of myself, I am proud of myself for seeing this before anyone else has seen this coming. I do believe that Tom Brady is going to win MVP next year, and I'll start with the most obvious facts of all. He is now playing for not 1, but 2 offensive masterminds in Bruce Arians and the great Tom Moore, who is now the overseer, the advisor to Arians in the offense. And for those who don't know, Tom Moore was Peyton's offensive coordinator for all those great years in Indianapolis. And obviously, Arians has coached Peyton and Roethlisberger and Andrew Luck and Carson Palmer and on and on.
Palmer.
He is a quarterback. Yep. Yeah, he's a quarterback guru. And you just helped make my case. And I want to thank you for this, because they did have the 3rd best offense last year with Jameis, who threw 33 touchdown passes in this offense, which was the 2nd most to Lamar in the whole NFL. But unfortunately, Jameis doesn't know the word check down. And so Jameis would try to throw every ball as far as he could throw it, which resulted in 30 interceptions, which led the league by far, and 5 more lost fumbles. So that's 35 total turnovers from Jameis that were 12 more than any other quarterback in the league. So if you clean that up, because Tom Brady threw only 8 interceptions and lost only 1 fumble in New England last year, I don't think he's going to turn the ball over much in this offense. And then you add in the fact that Arians does love to chuck it, and they are going to throw the football maybe at record rates. And help me out, Tom isn't any longer throwing to, as I kept saying, 3 guys from Dorchester that he would find before every game. He'd pick them out in the stands. You, and you. Come down here. I'm going to make you stars in this game. He's throwing to 4 studs. He's throwing to 2 Pro Bowlers and 2 stud tight ends. And if you combine Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard, you kind of have a Gronk between the 2 of them. And obviously, you've got Mike Evans, and obviously you've got Chris Godwin. They made the Pro Bowl last year for a 7-9 team. So now Tom has 4 receivers better than any one receiver he had last year. And again, Bruce Arians was scoffing, almost laughing at the concept of the doubters, starting probably with you, who said, oh, well, Tom might not have the arm for this. Baloney. And again, Bruce Arians is saying he threw it great deep last year. And you know the stat that I keep throwing back at you. On 20-plus yard throws, deeper throws last year into tight windows, because the Patriots were last in the league in separation among their receivers. On tight window, longer throws, Brady was tied for first in the NFL at completing 41% of those. So watch what's going to happen this year. And by the way, overall, 20-plus yard throws into any kind of window, Brady was 43%, which did rank 7th in the NFL, which is pretty good. So all of a sudden, Arians is saying, not only can he still throw it deep, but Arians loved what Tom said the other day when he was asked about this concept of throwing long. And Tom said, and it was beautiful the way he explained playing quarterback, because nobody's ever played quarterback the way Brady has. Brady, Shannon, said the other day in his press conference that we talked about yesterday, he said that basically, and I'm going to paraphrase it, quarterback just boils down to find the open man. If he's open deep, you throw it to him deep. If he's open short, you throw it to him short. If it's inside, outside, outside. It was a beautiful explanation, and Arians echoed it and said, that was beautiful, what Tom said, because he basically was talking about Jameis last year did not know the word check down. So what was Tom great at in New England? Not just last year, but for 20 years? If a little James White were open for a swing pass and nobody was in the flat covering him, Tom would say, okay, I'll take that, because Tom has no big ego about, I got to throw it deep. So he just dump it to James White. I'll take that 5 yards. Thank you very much. And as the great Tom Moore has always said, just a second, nobody has ever gone broke, says Tom Moore, putting money in the bank. Nobody's ever gone broke putting money in the bank. Nobody puts money in the bank better than Tom Brady. He'll just take whatever you give him, bing, bing, or boom. And I'm just saying, I think records might happen next year. I think you might see 2007 next year in Tampa, the way Tom showed us when he did have Randy Moss for that one big year back in New England. Go ahead.
Yeah, nobody ever goes broke by putting money in the bank. But I tell you what, you're not going to retire early putting $1 in the bank. As Bruce Arians says, no risk it, no biscuit. So in other words, Skip Bayless, you got to push the ball down the field. And that's what happened to the Patriots last year. All that dilly-dallying. Skip, you don't catch sharks. You don't catch great whites and whales fishing at the shore. You got to go out deep. And that's what Tom Brady. And you keep talking about, oh, he was this percentage. But his completion percentage was 27. His QBR was 19. And on-target throws, this is what it says, on target, not whether or not the ball was caught or not, on target. Tom Brady was behind Jameis Winston, Baker Mayfield, Mason Rudolph. Tom Brady was the 4th worst on target throws. Since you love numbers, how about those numbers? He was 27th in yards per attempt. So in other words, all he was dinking and dacking, and it wasn't nothing happening. That's why they struggled in the red zone, because once you get down there, Skip, the field gets condensed. You can only check it down so much. Okay, you check it down. They give you another 3 yards, get off the field, kick a field goal. So all this MVP. So what are you going to do? If you're going to, Skip, I'm trying to figure now. Peyton was 37-11 for an offense that the previous year was 25th. He goes 37 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. They go to number 2 in scoring. He didn't win the MVP. So what do you say Tom Brady's going to have to do? Throw for 5,000, 58 touchdowns, go number one in scoring, number one in total yards? Because last I checked, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Mecole Hardman didn't get any slower. Now, he might run, he might not run that 4.33, but he ain't running 5.6 either. Mm-hmm. So my homeboy and Russ and these guys aren't going anywhere.
Remember Mohamed Sanu? Remember how you told me at the end of the year he was a flat-out bust? That's who Belichick went and got to help Tom Brady last year. Because Tom Brady did not have N'Keal Harry, the stud rookie receiver out of Arizona State, for the first 8 games. And when he finally got to play, he wasn't very good. So all Tom Brady had last year was little Julian Edelman, a shell of himself, beat up, broken down. He had 3 injuries going on at one time. He led the NFL in drops last year as the number 1 targeted receiver for Tom Brady. And again, Tom had 1 quality receiver, Antonio Brown, for 1 game. Yeah, you can throw all those bad numbers at me, but again, Tom Brady had this team in position to win the 2 seed with 3 guys from Dorchester. Watch what he's going to do now. And by the way, speaking of Julian Edelman, there's one name out there I don't hear anybody talking about, and I'm going to bring him up right here, right now. His name is Scotty Miller. Remember the name because he was a rookie for the Bucs last year, a 6th-round draft choice out of Bowling Green who has track speed. He ran 4.3 at his pro day. Scotty Miller. He's little. He's even smaller than Edelman or Amendola were when they played for Tom. He's only about 5'10", 175, and I don't know if he can take the pounding. He finally pulled his hamstring in December, and they had to shut him down. But he did catch 20 balls. I think you're seeing one. I can't see a monitor right now, but he caught a couple of touchdown passes from Jameis, caught 20 balls, and I think Brady is going to love him in the slot in the middle of those 2 Pro Bowl receivers in those 2 tight ends. It's going to be hard to stop, Shannon. Hard to stop. So remember the name Scotty Miller next year.
So let me ask you this, Skip. What if it was a situation that Tom was holding N'Keal Harry and Edelman and those guys back? So we're going to find out, Skip. So now, because the difference is that, what you and everybody else is going to do, you're going to say, oh, look at Tom. Look at how great Tom is looking. It's because those guys are pulling Tom Brady along. He's not going to make, if you're going to make, how you make a Pro Bowl player better? How do you make Chris Godwin better? Chris Godwin got hurt. And I think he missed the last game of the season and was 2nd or 3rd in the league in receiving yards. But but it's going to be all, ooh, did you see what Tom Brady's doing with Chris Godwin? Chris Godwin was that before he got there. So stop it.
Okay, but wait a second. You keep telling me, did Tyreek retire? Did Mecole Hardman retire? Did Travis Kelce? You don't think they pulled Mahomes up? Stop it.
Oh, no, Mahomes
realize, I kept telling you, what would Mahomes have done in New England last year? He would have been a disaster with that group.
He'd have locked up the number 1. But here's the thing, Skip. If I'm not mistaken, Alex Smith had Tyreek Hill, had Travis Kelce. How did he look? As a matter of fact, did you remember the guy that came in? Matt Moore. He looked so good that they went out and drafted him, but he traded up 17 spots to get my homeboy. That's how good Alex Smith looked in that offense. He traded up 17 spots to get Patrick Mahomes because he knew what he had.
Okay, now let's talk about why I believe LeBron James has won this year's MVP in the NBA.
Oh my God.
It's called narrative. It's called storybook storyline. It's called LeBron James being not only comeback player of the year, but also MVP all rolled into one. Comeback and MVP, and they meshed into another. This would be LeBron's 5th MVP if, in fact, he won it. I believe he was pulling away. I know a lot of the voters have said we're still sticking with Giannis. But again, that's not a done deal yet. But the point was that everybody loved the story of LeBron coming from a team in the Lakers that once again missed the playoffs with him last year. And remember, that was the 6th straight year the Lakers had missed the playoffs, which was 4 more years longer than the Lakers had ever missed it in a row in their history. 2 in a row was the most they'd ever missed the playoffs. And all of a sudden, they'd missed it 6 straight years. And boom, LeBron came back. And he came back great. He came back stronger than ever. And he lifted them into the number 1 overall seed, 5.5 games in the West ahead of the Clippers. Well, that's a great story. Well, let's look at what Tom Brady could do here. He's going to the losingest franchise in sports, not just in the NFL, in the whole realm of sports. No team has been worse over its years than the Tampa Bay Succaneers, as they're called. So Tom didn't choose to go to America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, which at one point I was advocating if they couldn't get a deal done with Dak. Okay, well, fine. But the point is, that would have caused a little more Brady hate. You lead the league in Brady hate, but all of a sudden, I'm starting to feel like Brady is becoming a sympathetic figure because people are starting to say, wait a second, Belichick just ran him out of New England. He tried to make his life miserable as he could for the last 2.5 years. So the storyline has changed to, man, maybe Brady deserves a break here. And he chose the woeful Bucs. Remember, the Bucs last year finished 7-9. That was 6 games behind New Orleans in that division. They were 6 games out. Really? Well, what if? Let's just do the what if. What if Brady puts up some record numbers and let's say, as I think they could, the Bucs flip it around from 7-9 to let's say 12-4 and they win the division. That's an MVP story. That's comeback plus MVP and a quarterback at 43 being able to do that. I love it. I think it's on a silver platter for Tom to say, okay, watch this.
Hold on, I'm confused because is this a LeBron story or this is a Tom Brady story?
Both. They're similar. Their plights are similar right now. Their stories are very similar.
No, they're not. No.
Yeah.
My guy is the best player. My guy is the best player in the NBA. Your guy is not even top 5 best player in the NFL. Maybe not even top 10. Why you bumping him over there? So stop it.
Okay, but my guy is the GOAT and your guy's not the GOAT. It's simple as that.
My guy is the GOAT.
I'm really ashamed that we're putting LeBron and Tom Brady in the same sentence, but I was trying to give you a break here and show you that Tom's story at 43 was going to be equal or similar to LeBron's at 30, what is he, 30? No, 6 now?
He's 35.
Year 17.
35. He's 35.
Yeah, it feels like he's 46.
35. You know what he is. No, he does not. Yeah. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. You keep on trying to age my guy, and all he does is just keep proving you wrong because all them little snafus that you got an opportunity to show last year, you can't show them now because my guy and no one predicted the Lakers would go
light tape.
Stop. Nobody predicted that the Lakers were going to have the number 1 seed. I did. I told you they're going to win 56 games. They made me out to be a liar because they're going to win 60 plus games. No.
Okay, but it is similar because all of a sudden, look, LeBron got help. He got AD this year. Now Brady got real help. He got 2 Pro Bowlers and 2 stud tight ends. It's the same idea. AD, stud receivers. Way to go. Here we go.
But you said AD was never that guy. You said you didn't have a whole lot of respect for AD because he couldn't make it to the playoffs. You talking about he was 100 plus games under 500.
Okay, but he is the PER prince. He wins it nearly every year or every other year. So, again, he's a very good player. I don't think he's a fourth quarter player, and I don't think LeBron's a fourth quarter player, but that's a whole nother issue. Combined, they've been very good. I don't think they're better than the Clippers, but we'll see about that if, in fact, we ever have a finish to the NBA season. And by the way, we're going to talk about that in just a minute here. But the point is that Tom Brady next year is going to be obsessed to stick it to Bill Belichick and to Robert Kraft. He's going to be driven the way he's never been driven. And as he said the other day, watching film, studying tape is what I do. He said, I still love it. You didn't love it. You told me at age 35, you just couldn't take the meetings anymore. Well, Brady lives for the meetings and for the film study. Okay. Well, he's recharged, man. This is great. He needed a new challenge, and I honor him. I'm in awe of what he's doing. Watch this, Bill Belichick. And as you agree with me, it's a race to the Super Bowl. And by the way, the Super Bowl will be played in Tampa's home stadium next year, and no home team has ever played in its home stadium in a Super Bowl. So he's got that going for him. TB in TB. I love it. I'm sorry. I think he's got a great shot at winning MVP. Says you. And by the way, speaking of you, Mr. Sharpe, yesterday, I brought up the fact near the end of a debate with Shannon Sharpe about LeBron maybe winning a championship this year, would be his 4th championship. And I said it would be tainted. And Shannon flat out lost his mind. Well, stay tuned because Shannon's about to lose his mind next here on Undisputed.
No mercy.
As I just mentioned yesterday, near the end of a debate, I just happened to throw out to my man Shannon Sharpe that, you know what, if LeBron James does win a championship this year, which would be his 4th, it's going to feel like it was tainted, like it will deserve an asterisk because obviously the season has been shortened. Shannon lost it at that moment, and we didn't really have time to finish. So I allowed my man Shannon to sleep on it last night and see if a cooler head would prevail today. So, Shannon, do you feel as strongly now as you did yesterday about no asterisk for this season if LeBron wins a championship?
Hell no, it ain't going to be no asterisk. Skip, you need to stop this. You keep on trying to undermine the man's performance. Now, when Tim Duncan won his title in 1999 after an abbreviated season, nobody said anything about an asterisk. But let me tell you, I'm going to come a little even more future. Skip, did you realize LeBron's first title was a shortened season? Where's the asterisk? Now, all of a sudden, we go out west. Don't mess with the West. Oh, woo, the big bad West. LeBron could never do what he's doing in the East. What he's doing in the East, he could never do that in the West. Now he's in the West. We're messing with the West. As a matter of fact, we're messing over the West. Now all of a sudden, you want to try to find a way. We're gonna win the title. There's nothing you or anybody else can do about it, and we're gonna leave no doubt in anyone's mind that we're the GOAT. We've been the GOAT for the last 3 years, but all we're doing is because we don't like to use that term because we're still playing. People want us to wait till our career is over and they can evaluate it properly. But I ain't waiting that long. We the GOAT right now, and we're going to win the title this year, and we're going to repeat next year.
Okay, first up, my man, Tim Duncan, the great Tim Duncan of the San Antonio Spurs. May they rest in peace, what's left of them. But Tim Duncan is now obviously a coach on that bench sitting next to Coach Popovich. Maybe he'll take over next year. I don't know. But the point is, Tim Duncan won 5 rings. He was 5-0 in NBA Finals. And remember, he would have won 6 rings if not for Ray Allen. I'm disqualifying what happened because Ray cost him that one with the greatest clutch shot I've ever seen and took LeBron off the hook. We'll get to that in just a moment. But the point was, I have never said that Tim Duncan was even in the same ballpark with Michael Jeffrey Jordan. I have never made the case that Tim was the GOAT. Obviously, Michael is the GOAT. Everybody but you and maybe a billion blind witnesses out there thinks that Jordan is the GOAT. But the point is 5 rings with one that was tainted. I'm going to give you that because that year in 1999, they played only 50 games. Well, they did play a full playoffs at the end of it, so you got to give them that. But it was only a 50-game season. And I'm so happy you brought this up because if you didn't, I was. But LeBron's first ring is a little tainted because they didn't play the first game that year in 2012 until Christmas Day. So that was only a 66-game season. Not bad. And they did play the full playoffs. But, well, I got that. But again, right now they're stuck on 63. And I'm not sure how many more games we're going to have, if in fact we're going to have any more games. But again, 66, a little more than 50. But there's a tiny asterisk there because they didn't have to fight it out. And LeBron didn't have to spend himself over 82 games. So maybe he got a little break there, but I'm not going to hold that against you. This year, I would hold against you because to me, and we don't know this, but if we do have playoffs, what if they're abbreviated? What if this year, the first round of the playoffs has to be best 2 out of 3? What if the subsequent rounds, all the way through the finals, have to be best 3 out of 5, right? 5-game series. So to me, that gives LeBron a huge break. And as I tried to explain to you yesterday, a huge break over the Clippers, who I think is their biggest threat to this year's championship run. And the Clippers got thrown together. They threw together at the trade deadline or right around it, the buyout deadline. They got Marcus Morris and then Reggie Jackson. They're both high-volume shooters, ball-dominant players. So they needed reps. They needed to be able to play out the regular season just to get to know each other. And all of a sudden, obviously, boom, it stopped cold. I don't know, would they play a few regular season games or even preseason kind of games to get ready for the playoff run? It's going to be different to the point that it's going to be tainted. And it's huge advantage to LeBron because I do think he made a great run at MVP. And I do think it took a lot out of that year 17 body. And I do think he was on the precipice of danger zone of injury. And they kept saying he's got some kind of a groin issue. Last year he pulled his groin and wasn't really the same after Christmas Day, and they missed the playoffs. So this gave him a chance to heal completely up. Obviously, Kawhi's got arthritic knees, so there's some advantage there for him. But as I told you yesterday, LeBron and AD got to play 53 games together this year, and Kawhi and Paul George only 32 games, 53 to 32. So it's already huge advantage to the Lakers. And now if you stop the season cold and then you say, let's start the playoffs, they know each other. Their chemistry is pretty established. In fact, you were making the case they were rolling. Well, they can pick it right back up and roll through an abbreviated playoffs to a cheapened ring. Go ahead.
So let me get this straight. Is Kawhi's championship tainted because he load managed last year? He missed 20 games in the regular season. So anybody that wins the title this year,
it was still a full season.
No. This year, if they don't play the full compilation of games, so this means that anybody. So it's Giannis, Kawhi, LeBron, anybody. So it's just not LeBron if they win the title this year. Anyone that wins the ring this year, the ring would be compromised. Is that what you're telling me?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Period. Okay. End of story. It's going to be remembered as the COVID-19 title or the Corona championship. It just is. I mean, it just is. It's what we're all having to fight through now. You know it and I know it. And again, it's starting to feel like a long shot that we're even going to get to finish. But if they do figure out a way to finish, you know and I know it's abbreviated. It has to be. I don't know how it's going to be. There could even be 1-game first-round playoffs. Just do or die like the baseball. It ain't gonna be no 1 game. This ain't no baseball. The play-in game. No. Could be.
They're not going to be that.
Well, it may be. We may be forced to do that. And I'm sorry, it would be just so fitting if LeBron finally won his 4th ring to move to 4 and 6 in the finals, and everybody would sit back and say, it's just not the same. Way to go, LeBron, but
it is the same.
Sorry.
Well, guess what? That ring won't have an asterisk on it. That ring won't have an asterisk.
It might. It might have to have a little white mask on it, just a little mask, because everybody's got to wear a mask right now, right? So it might have a little mask. I don't know. It's not the same, and I'm sorry. And I'm going to point this out again to all those blind witnesses. If Ray Allen doesn't hit that greatest clutch shot ever, taking LeBron off the hook, he's 2-7 in the finals. And I remind everybody in that game 6 of the 2013 finals, LeBron had the shot to tie, the 3-point shot, and he LeBricked it. And he LeBricked it so badly off back iron that it bounded long out to Chris Bosh, who then sweetly kicked it into the corner to Ray Allen, who got his feet behind the line and ripped it as clean as you can rip it to tie the score and send it to overtime. And that took LeBron off a huge hook. He would be 2-7. And man, 3-6 sounds a lot better than 2-7 to me. So congratulations.
Well, we're about to be.
Ray Allen,
we're going to win this year, and we're going to win next year. We'll be 5-6. We'll be 5-6-11. How about that?
You'll kind of be like 4.5-6. This is going to count like a half this year.
No. We're going to count the real deal. Real deal.
No mercy.
Quick note, one bit of very good news out there among all the relentless bad news on the NFL front. Sean Payton, coach obviously of the Saints, said yesterday he was cleared after he tested positive a couple of weeks ago. So congratulations to you, coach. Now on to our next NFL debate topic. Yesterday after the show, I happened to glance at Twitter at the trending topics in the United States. Usually they're bad. And I noticed that the number one trending topic was Moss. I clicked on that to see what was happening, and somehow a debate had detonated, Randy Moss or Jerry Rice, who was the greatest. And I think it detonated because Minnesota had just acquired a distant relative of Shannon Sharpe's named Tajay Sharpe. And somehow, because of cabin fever that we're all experiencing right now, boom, a debate had launched, which brings us to right here, right now. And I'm going to ask the Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe, who you got? Who was better?
Skip.
Jerry Rice or Randy Moss?
For me, look, and people go back and forth. I think the three greatest receivers of all time, and I put them in this order, and my order has not changed. Jerry Rice is in a class by himself. It's Jerry by himself. I got T.O. and I got Randy, but I put T.O. second. Skip, it's not even close. When you look at Jerry's numbers compared to Randy, okay, so now titles don't matter. I thought championships matter because Jerry has 3, Randy has none. So we're going to disqualify that. So titles don't matter anymore. Randy went to 6 Pro Bowls. Jerry went to 13. Jerry was a 10-time first-team All-Pro. Randy was a 4-time first-team All-Pro. Jerry led the league in receiving yards 6 times. Randy Moss never did that. Skip, stop this. I think what happened is that because, Skip, we see this thing going on ESPN. They had the top 64 men and women players of all time. And you and I both know the greatest college basketball player to ever live was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He was Lou Alcindor then. He later became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He got upset in the round of 32. Stop it. People forget I happened to see Jerry in his prime. I came in the league 5 years after Jerry. I saw Randy in his prime. Skip, is not close. See, here's the thing. If you're going to be the GOAT, you can't have caveats if Randy played hard, if Randy did this. There are too many ifs. Caveat. Randy was great. No question about it. But Jerry Rice is in a class by himself. He has 44 more receiving touchdowns, probably about 9,000 more receiving yards, 600 more catches. How? Under what metric would you use to say Randy Moss was better than Jerry Rice? If you look at stats, if you look at accolades, you look at whatever, longevity. Skip, did you know this? Jerry Rice had a 140-yard receiving game at the age of 42. Randy Moss' last 100-yard game was in 2009. He was 32. Skip, let that sink in for a second. Jerry got that 140 against the Cowboys too, Skip. Just want you to know that. When he was playing with Seattle.
I know
Skip,
it well. Too well.
Skip, does Oakland count? Is Oakland on his resume? Is that on Randy Moss's resume? Is his second return to Minnesota? Is the Tennessee Titans, is that on his resume? Jerry went to the Pro Bowl as a receiver with 1,200 plus yards at the age of 40. Man, stop this. I don't even know why we're having this discussion. Is Jerry Rice Skip, I can make a case that Jerry is the greatest football player. Forget receiver. But you want to put somebody in his class as far as receiving? It's not even close. It's not even close. And that's not disrespectful to Randy, T.O., or any other receiver. But it's Jerry Rice is the greatest receiver, and it's not close.
It is close, and I'm going to tell you why. I think most people out there in Twitter land, a lot of people who watch both of these players closely, these great receivers closely through the the primes of their careers. And obviously Jerry's prime was way longer than Randy's prime. But they know that in a vacuum, you're looking at a Randy Moss who ran a 4.240. Jerry fell in the draft to the 49ers because he ran 4.6. Obviously, he runs real fast or ran real fast with a football under his arm. But 4.2 versus 4.6. And as you know, Randy played at 6 feet 4 inches tall. 6'4" with great, not good hands, great stickum hands with no stickum on them, like he was born with stickum fingers. He made great catches effortlessly. I did see Jerry drop an occasional ball. I did see Jerry get down on himself on the sideline occasionally, and obviously I honor Jerry's greatness. So I'll sum it up for you this way, Shannon. I've never seen anything like Randy Moss on a football field. When I watched Jerry, he was just so textbook great that it looked effortless. It looked like he wasn't even trying to run what were great routes. So in the end, if you push me to the brink on this, if you say, I got one game for my life, I want Randy Moss as my go-to receiver. If you say, I have... Yeah, but if I have 1 year and you say you have to go win this championship for your life this year and you got to do it in 19 games, let's say, I want Jerry Rice because I know he's going to give me everything he has every play. But one game for my life, I'm not out of my mind. I'm going to live because I'm going to take Randy Moss.
Skip, you do realize Jerry Rice averaged 8 catches for $142 and 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. Do they get any bigger than that? You see, again, you have to preface it. Did you have to ever worry about Jerry Rice playing hard? Did you ever see Jerry Rice walk off the field before the game was over?
No.
Did you ever see that,
Obviously
Skip?
not.
You see Harris. Exactly.
Nope.
That's the thing. And Randy was historically great. But when you talk about for a career, not only did Jerry play longer, he played longer better. Mm-hmm. You take Randy greatest the year that Randy had, which he broke Jerry's record. You do realize Jerry Rice caught 22 touchdowns in 12 games, not 23 and 16. Mm-hmm. He caught 22 and 12. Just Skip, look,
okay.
I get the highlight, and you got Moss, but it's not close, Skip. There's nothing. We've never seen anything like Jerry. We're not going to see it again. We're not going to see it again. We're not going to see a receiver play that long, play that well.
Here's what you're missing. Jerry Rice, and I covered many of these games, he got to play for Joe Montana, and he got to play for Steve Young, and he got to play for Jeff Garcia, who made 4 Pro Bowls. And then he went to Oakland, speaking of Oakland, and he got to play with a Rich Gannon, who made 4 Pro Bowls and won the MVP one year with Jerry Rice in 2002. So he was blessed with his quarterback run, while look at what happened to Randy Moss. He had Randall Cunningham, not bad. I mean, he made some Pro Bowls in his time, and then he was going back and forth in those first couple of years. There was Brad Johnson, there was Jeff George, and there was some Randall Cunningham. Then he got Dante Culpepper. Dante's very good. I loved him. I pushed that year for the Bears to take him, and they didn't, and they should have. They took Cade McNown, and that was an all-time mistake. But if you look at Dante Culpepper, are we talking about Montana or Young? No, he was just a very good player, not a Hall of Fame type player.
Skip, but you can't, Skip, we can do that with anyone. So are we going to disqualify Joe Montana from being great because he had Jerry for all those years? Or are we going to disqualify Troy for being good because he had Emmett in his backfield? No, we can't use this as qualifiers. You can't do that. Look at the numbers, the longevity, the numbers, the accolades.
I'm doing it.
Oh, stop.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Well, he had Tom Brady. He had the GOAT, Tom Brady. Why didn't he win a title? He had 4 years with the GOAT. Why didn't he win a title with the GOAT?
He should have. You know it, and I know it. And he had one big year with Tom Brady. It was 2007. Okay, can I talk? Let me speak. Now, let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
1 year in 2007. What happened? What happened? Randy Moss caught 23 touchdown passes that year. And guess whose record he broke? Jerry Rice's. He had Tom Brady for one great year, and he caught 23 touchdown passes. I don't care how many games it took, he did that. And then they go for 19-0 in the Super Bowl, and in the fourth quarter, right on time, Tom Brady drives them 80 yards down the field for what should have been the game-winning drive. He throws a short pass to Randy Moss for a touchdown that put them up, 14-10 at that point. And here came Eli Manning. And you know what happened on 3rd and forever? Eli, who had no mobility, avoids 3 sacks, wheels around, puts his hand over his eyes, and flings it as far as he can into trouble, into the middle of the field. Rodney Harrison, a great safety, completely misplays the ball, and Tyree manages to stick it in his face mask. It took the luckiest throw in the history of the Super Bowl, even according to Eli Manning, who agreed with me on that premise, for Eli to pull out that victory over Tom and Randy Moss. So if Eli doesn't pull off that play, Randy Moss has a ring, and Randy Moss is a made man, and we might not even be having this discussion. But you got to give him that he did catch, with 2 minutes left, a game-winning touchdown pass.
Jerry caught 8 touchdowns in the Super Bowl and never played a game in which he caught fewer than 2. But that's neither here nor there. Caught a touchdown in every Super Bowl. But that's neither here nor there. What happened in 2009? Was he not with Tom Brady in 2009? Was he not with Tom Brady in 10?
Okay, but
he was 4 years that they traded him early in 2010.
He started to go south. He started to buck the system. And finally, Belichick just dumped him. Remember? He dumped him. I got it.
Yes, I remember. I remember.
Yeah. Okay? So what happened one game that I covered at the end of the 1994 season at Candlestick Park? Maybe the greatest, no, not maybe. It was the greatest individual matchup I ever witnessed. It was Michael Irvin on Deion Sanders for the whole game because the Cowboys fell behind 21-3. And here they went. Troy threw 26 passes at Michael that game, but Michael caught 12 of them on Deion for 192 yards. Meanwhile, Jerry Rice in that game caught 2 balls for 36 yards. Really, 2 balls for 36. Michael just showed him up in that game. And I've always told you, I'm still taking Michael. I want him in my foxhole as the greatest receiver over Jerry Rice. I just would. And we don't have time for that right now. No, he would tell me off camera. No, off camera, he was Jerry Rice. If I give you his prime numbers, his 91-98 numbers head-to-head with Jerry Rice, his were better. I'm sorry, they just were. That's a whole conversation for another day.
You better stop.
I'm sorry.
You better stop saying this, Skip.
Okay, I got 91-98. Receptions for first down. Michael, 531. Michael Irvin. Jerry, 467. How about fourth quarter receiving yards in close games? 7 points or closer. Michael, 1,030 receiving in the fourth quarter to 868 for Jerry Rice. I can go on and on. He had better big game clutch numbers than Jerry Rice because he was the playmaker. I'll take him big picture, long term over Jerry Rice. But one game for my life, I'm sorry, I'd take Randy Moss. And I think you would too in your heart of hearts.
No, absolutely not. One game for my life, I'm taking Jerry. I'm taking prime Jerry over any player. I'll take Jerry at 30 over any player. I'm not taking over. Skip, like I said, Randy had an unbelievable career. But you have to understand, Skip, before my brother came along, Jerry had a stranglehold on the NFC. I mean, as far as yards, reception, touchdowns, it was my brother. It took my brother to interrupt that because he led the league in receiving 3 times. He led the league in touchdowns, led the league in yards. Before that, Jerry stranglehold the NFC. Skip, you do realize Jerry had
they're both playing in the West Coast offense, right? Yes. West Coast, yes. Bill Walsh offense. Your brother was playing in it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Randy wasn't playing in it.
Hold on, Skip. He got the West Coast the last 3 years. Before that, Lindy Infante, it was when Mike got there in 92, because, obviously Mike came from San Francisco. Mike got there in 92 is when they went to the West Coast. But Skip, you do realize Brian Billick, they had the #1 scoring offense in football. Brian Billick's offense was up and down the field. That's what Randy got his first couple of years, his first 4 or 5 years.
That was because Randy Moss was electrifying. Okay, we will agree to disagree on this debate. No mercy. I cannot wait to hear Shannon Sharpe's reaction on this one. Fox Bet has the over-under on Tampa Bay's wins next year at 9. I'm going 12-4 for the Bucs next year. So Shannon Sharpe, has your Brady hate kicked in? What are you looking at next year for the Bucs? 8-8? What you got?
Skip, even before Fox Bet put out there what they thought the over-under would be, what did I tell you? I say, Skip, something looks like 10-6, maybe 11-5. I'm going to go over, but I'm going to say 10-6. I'll give you 10-6.
Really? I'm shocked.
Yeah, I'll give you 10-6. No, but Skip, even before Fox Bet put it out, because at first they had it at 9.5, and now I guess they're down to 9. But I just felt like, okay, they went 7-9 with Jameis. I mean, they could turn over here or there. They take care of the football. They could easily win an extra couple of games. But I'm gonna go 10-6. But they're not gonna win that division. The Saints not going anywhere. The Saints got better. Now they got Emmanuel Sanders to pair with Mike Thomas, so you can't double team him. Jared Cook. Yeah, I like this.
I'm sure you're going to love them. They're going to be your team next year. You're going to leap on another bandwagon out of the blue. All right.
I might.
Let's start with the fact. You might. Let's start with the fact the Bucs did re-sign Sue yesterday for $8 million, which I thought was kind of a steal of a deal for 1 year.
Yeah.
I'm going to remind everybody, the Bucs defense last year was number 1 against the run. That'll work. They were 7th in sacks in the NFL because Shaq Barrett was number 1 in sacks in the NFL. And Sue
that would help.
Drew the third. Yeah, that'll work. Sue drew the third most double teams in the NFL behind Aaron Donald and Kenny Clark of the Packers, which helps Shaq Barrett. And now you got Sue back as a force in the middle, which might free up a little more room for a Levante David, who was ranked by Pro Football Focus last year the 3rd best linebacker in the NFL. Wow, that will work. And I've told you, Todd Bowles, I love him as a coordinator. I didn't love Todd Bowles as a head coach of the Jets, obviously, but he is a very good, maybe bordering on great defensive coordinator. So what happened last year to the Bucs defense? It faced the toughest slate of opposing offenses, and it inherited the worst average starting field position in the whole NFL. Why was that? Because Jameis threw 30 interceptions and lost 5 fumbles. So that means 35 times there were sudden changes where, we got to get back on the field because Jameis turned it over again. He turned it over 12 more times than any other quarterback in the league. I think that's going to change with Tom Brady. So all of a sudden, the defense was forced to defend 189 what are called meaningful possessions, which was tied for most in the whole NFL. Shannon, you know and I know that unit had to be worn out and worn down mentally, if not physically, because they just had to keep going back and trying to clean up Jameis's messes. And this year, I think they're going to look a lot better than they did even last year when they were decent, especially over the last 6 games. So I think people are underestimating how good the Bucs defense will be, and we know how good the offense is going to be. Your thought?
Yeah, well, yeah, if the defense should be better for the simple fact, Skip, they should have less possessions on the football field. James did a disservice to them by putting them in harm's way. A lot of times, Skip, they were getting pick sixes or they were getting short fields. Even if you held them out of the end zone, they were kicking field goals. Mm-hmm. So just by that alone, and that's why I went to 10 wins, Skip, for the simple fact, Tom Brady on his worst will not turn the football over as much as Jameis did. Even on his worst season, he's never going to have probably half as many interceptions as what Jameis had last year. Jameis had 30, so I think Tom Brady's most interceptions probably in the season, maybe 15 or 16. I don't see that happening.
14,
so that 14, will equate to 14, okay. So even on his worst year, he only had half as many interceptions as Jameis had on his worst year. So with that being said, Skip, I'm going to give them 3 extra wins. I'm going to say they're 10-6.
Okay, so and I also
you took a leap. You went 12-4.
I did. I got 12-4. Jameis threw 7 pick sixes last year. Brady had 6 in his last 10 years. So the pick sixes are killers for the psyche of a football team. So that's a big plus. Yeah, big plus. Okay, so let's look at the overall odds from Fox Bet. The Bucs are tied with Carson Wentz's Eagles for the 6th best odds to win the Super Bowl at 18-1, which is pretty good. So that's why I still think they're being a little underestimated. But so the Eagles, by the way, are 18-1 and the Cowboys are 16-1. So 16-1 is better than 18-1. So wait, Fox Bet says my Cowboys are better than the Eagles going into next year. Just a quick point of order.
Yeah,
I don't know if you'd like to quickly try to defend that, but
I don't need to. Right? All I know is the reigning division champs. Who is the reigning division champs of the NFC East? I just need to know that.
A year ago, it was Dallas. And twice in 4 years, he won the NFC East. Yeah, okay. Well, you asked and I answered. Okay, back to the Buccaneers. I haven't heard anybody mention this when I talk about winning 12 games. Let's look at their slate of non-division games. We know who's in the division. We know we got to play, they got to play the Saints twice. And those are going to be like NFC games of the year, Tampa Bay versus New Orleans.
Right.
But let's look at, if we can, the home non-division games and the road non-division. Well, at home, they do have Green Bay. It's tough. And obviously then come Kansas City. It's really tough, but at least it's at Tampa. And then Minnesota's pretty tough. You don't know about the Chargers quarterback situation. The Rams might not be quite the Rams. But again, those are your home non-division. The roads, these aren't that bad to me. They got at Chicago, at Detroit, at Denver, at Las Vegas Raiders, and at New York Giants. Okay, Chicago, Detroit, Denver, Raiders, Giants. I don't know. I could see Brady pulling off winning, 4 of those games, maybe 5 of those games. That's why I say the schedule is not that tough for next year's Bucs. That's why I say that 12 wins is within the realm of reachable possibility because of the schedule. The home games, there are a couple, 3 tough ones. I get that. But again, you're at home and you got Tom Brady. I don't know. I'm looking at 12, and I'm actually proud of you that you went all the way to 10. You first said 11, and now you've backed off a little bit to 10.
No. I love how you try. You always want to take the high end. I say I can see 10-6. I can see 11-5. But I like 10-6. 10. I like nice round numbers. I like 10 even, 6 even. Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so I made the case early in this show that I like Brady. I love his chances to win MVP next year. And if you tell me they're going to win 10 games and turn it around, 7-9 to 10-6, says Shannon Sharpe, that's a potential MVP. I got 12. That's a real shot at MVP because...
Hold on, time out. Skip, you do realize Peyton Manning took an 8-8 football team, went 13-3, went from 25th in scoring to 2 in scoring, and didn't win the MVP.
Which way? In Denver you're talking about, right?
In Denver, yes. His first year in Denver in 2012.
Yeah, okay.
You do realize that, right?
Wait a second. Okay, but Tebow had just taken a 1-4 Broncos team all the way to the division championship and won a playoff game against Ben Roethlisberger. So you had a little legacy left there, right? Well, he did. There was momentum. So you can't do that. You can't disqualify the great Tim Tebow. Am I right?
You talking about something? You talking about the man had a legacy. You stop. John Elway had a legacy. Tim Tebow ain't have no legacy.
So did Tim Tebow. Well, Tim Tebow had won national championships at Florida. And then when he got his chance, when they were 1-4, kaboom! You saw what happened. They went crazy. They came from 1-4 to win the championship of the division.
Tim Tebow had a season. Elway, Manning had legacy. I need you to stop this foolishness, Skip. I need you to stop. But I noticed you ain't mentioned they sent Tim Tebow down before this virus hit, didn't they, Skip Bayless? So it doesn't look like he's going to make it to the majors. Does not look like that since you're talking about Tebow.
We talked about that.
No, we ain't going to talk about that. No, we're not.
And again, he made the All-Star team at AA. He was at AAA last year, and he got hurt. Nobody has ever done what he has starting the sport of baseball at age 30. Nobody's done that. He hadn't played since he was a junior in high school, and he went, boom, I'll make the All-Star team at AA.
In order for this story to be turned into a book or a movie, he has to make the majors. You don't get to start something at 30 and says, okay, I'm starting this at 30, and then all of a sudden it doesn't follow through and they make a movie about it. It doesn't happen. Rudy became a story once Rudy got into the game. There could be no Rudy if Rudy walks on and never touches the field. So in order for you to have this storybook, movie, or book ending, he needs to make it to the majors.
Okay, and I still believe he will. Maybe later in the year, if in fact there is baseball. It should have been opening day today, but maybe they'll have a season, and maybe at the end of the year, he'll be called up to the Mets, and maybe he'll get the big hit that wins the division for the New York Mets, just the way he won it for your Denver Broncos.
No mercy.
There has been growing speculation that maybe Cam Newton could land in New England in place of Tom Brady. Even Kurt Warner brought it up yesterday on NFL Network as an intriguing option for Cam and for Coach Belichick. Shannon Sharpe, can you see that happening?
Coach Belichick has a tendency, Skip, of taking guys that people don't believe will fit in his system or fit with him. Guys that's been given up on. You saw what he did with Randy Moss. You saw what he did with Corey Dillon. Skip, he just has a way of getting guys in there that were great at one place. They fall out of favor for whatever reason. They come there and they get around and they get reinvigorated. They get rejuvenated. And all of a sudden you're like, wow. So could I see it happening? Sure. Now, my odds on in favor, Cam ends up out here in L.A. That's what I think. But would I be surprised if Coach Belichick did something like this? I wouldn't be surprised at all. I also wouldn't be surprised if Cam played extremely well. Like I said, Skip, and I hate using caveats. If everything's going to be predicated, his foot, shoulder. All that's tied together, Skip. And like I said, for the longest time, Cam tried to play through these injuries. His mechanic and Cam, had some mechanical problems. But when you try to play through injuries, it makes your mechanics look even worse. And where he never really stepped and throwed, everything seemed to be off his back foot. Well, you can't put any pressure on your front foot because you got a foot injury and your shoulder is messed up. Well, you exacerbate a problem that's already there. So could I see it happening? Yes. But I give it like 10, 15% chance of it actually happening.
I don't know. Could I go 10%? I got to tell you, Shannon, I cannot see this happening.
Okay.
Like you said, Belichick loves to buck the system. He loves to say, watch this, look at what I can do with that bad actor, that baggage of that player. Watch how I can eliminate that baggage. But the players he's taken who were considered the problem children elsewhere, Randy Moss, even, they drafted Aaron Hernandez, obviously, and Hainsworth, Corey Dillon, Aqib Talib. There's Chad Ochocinco, Josh Gordon, everybody, even Antonio Brown this last year for one game. All those players were receivers or running backs or defensive players, but none of them played the position, the leadership position of quarterback. Again, Belichick could get away with it because he had Tom Brady in his locker room to police the culture that I believe Tom Brady mostly built. So Tom could say to all those quote unquote bad actors, hey, I love you, man, but this is the way we do it here. Coach can be a little tough. He's going to get on you in film sessions and in practice, but you just got to swallow it. Just bite your tongue and look the other way because we're going to win a whole bunch of football games and we're going to go win the championship. And so all of them said,
basically,
okay, I trust you, Tom. Yeah, here we go. Let's try to do this together. Well, Cam, to me, look, I love him. I endorsed him as the first overall pick. And I told you I loved what he did a little bit at Florida, a lot at Blinn, a lot at Auburn, and then a whole lot all the way up to his MVP year in Carolina, which was in 2015. But Cam is more of a solo act than Brady was, or is. Cam's got a lot of diva in him. And we've seen wilder and wilder outfits and hairstyles, and he's unto himself. And I just don't think he's quite the natural-born leader that Brady was. So he's actually kind of the antithesis of Tom Brady. And I don't know that he could be anything for New England but the starting quarterback. You know, he's not going to walk in and hold a clipboard while Jared Stidham tries to figure it out. You know, they've got Brian Hoyer. Right. As soon as the Colts cut him, they said, boom, let's bring him back. And now Brian Hoyer's on his 10th stop in the NFL. So he's the bridge. Right. He's the mentor for Jared Stidham. Most people are reporting in New England that Stidham is going to be the guy, whether Stidham likes it or not. So he's a 4th-round pick. So, you know, it's like, okay, I got my Brady, says Belichick. Brady was 6, but I got a 4th-rounder here who can be my next Brady. Well, is Cam going to go as the backup, as the plan B, as the in case of? No, he's not built that way. His aura is too big. His presence is too big. Go ahead.
The thing you know about Coach Belichick doesn't promise you anything. You compete. I'm not coming in. You're not coming in here and I'm promising you a job. You go compete, and if you earn the job, it's a week-to-week thing. If you play good, you keep your job. If you don't, I'm going to have somebody to replace you. That's how it is. It's competition. That's how it is. You know, Coach Saban learned under Coach Belichick, and it's like that in Alabama. You play good, you got your job for another week. If you don't, you lose your job. And so that's a lot of these, a lot of reasons why Alabama players go pro early is because the guy that's behind them is going to, if they come back, they're going to lose that job to that guy. So I might as well go make some money. Yeah. Well, in New England, you can't, the next place you're going is out the building. So you have to play your best. He keeps you on edge in that way, keeps you motivated because someone is trying to get your job. Your job is not promised to you. So if you don't play your best, you don't have your job the next week.
Okay, got it. Which I still believe is why Cam would not be a good fit for Belichick in New England now. And again, I like your idea of the Chargers, but they have the 6th overall pick in the draft. I'm pretty sure they're going to take a quarterback. I don't know which one, but whoever that quarterback is will be fast-tracked to be the next starting quarterback. So they have Tyrod Taylor. I know he pronounced it Tyrod, but I'll say Tyrod. And we both like Tyrod, but he ain't Cam Newton. And Cam's better than Tyrod. Yeah, I'm with you. I got it. But would Tyrod be a better bridge quarterback and a better mentor for, I don't know, Jordan Love if they took him with the 6th overall pick? Yeah, he probably would be. Is Cam a mentor type? Brett Favre was not a mentor for Aaron Rodgers. You know, it's just not how Brett was built. So I got it.
Skip, most quarterbacks of Cam ilk, Joe Montana was not trying to get Steve Young ready. Brett Favre was not trying to get Aaron Rodgers ready. These guys, even Big Ben says, I'm not trying to get this guy ready to take my job. So it's a lot Tyrod started in the NFL as a backup. So his mindset is a lot different than a guy that was the number 1 overall pick and it was been the guy since day one.
Okay, so I got to remind everybody just to wrap this up that Cam won the MVP in 2015, and then over the last 4 years in Carolina, 4 years combined, he led the NFL in interceptions with 43. And his QBR was 31st over the last 4 years of the 40 qualified quarterbacks in the whole NFL. His starting record over the last 4 years in Carolina was 23-23. And to your point, 2 shoulder surgeries and the Lisfranc injury to his foot last year. I don't know, man. It's a lot to ask. And some team doctor is going to have to say, okay, I sign off on Cam. And we're going to have to wait and see which team would even sign off on him to clear him medically.
No mercy.
What a great day this has been here on Undisputed, especially for me. As a lifelong Dallas Cowboy fan, we opened up with the news that Dak Prescott back at the negotiating table with Jerry Jones, which means I believe a deal is imminent. Yes, thank you, God, for that. And I was actually saying thank you, God, in a little big way yesterday because I thought the Dallas Cowboys made a great little big pickup yesterday of a young man named Blake Bell. Way to go. A steal of a deal at $1.7 million a year, Shannon Sharpe, for Blake Bell, because I loved him at the University of Oklahoma, where he was known as the Belldozer. Belldozer because when it was 4th and goal from the 1 or 3rd and short at the 50, guess what? You could just line him up as a single solo back. He was a quarterback then. Snap it to him and let him belldoze. He scored 24 rushing touchdowns at the University of Oklahoma. That's a fantasy dream right there. He also threw 12 touchdown passes and he caught 4, which made him an NFL tight end at 6 feet 6 inches and about 260 pounds. He did catch a touchdown pass from your man, my homeboy, in that epic comeback in the playoff game against Houston. And if you combine Belldozer, who can be an excellent blocker, with Blake Jarwin, who's more of a wide receiver of a tight end, you put those two together, I think you have Jason Witten. So Shannon Sharpe, my Cowboys strike again with Belldozer. Way to go. Wouldn't you agree this is a great pickup?
No.
Yes.
Skip, stop this. Stop, Skip. Blake Bell does not move the needle. This is nothing. You make it seem like they signed George Kittle or Travis Kelce. They signed the guy no one knows outside of you because he played in Oklahoma. Yeah, I knew he was on the roster at Kansas City. Yes, I was well aware that he caught a touchdown against the Texans in that comeback. Yeah, but come on, Skip. This doesn't move the needle. He's like the 88th best tight end in all of football.
Well, wait a second. He actually got to compete in San Francisco as a 4th-round draft choice with Kittle. I know he didn't exactly win the job, and he wound up getting cut. But he competed with him.
No.
So again, okay, think about this. The two Blakes, Blake versus Blake, Bell versus, and with Jarwin, combined, you got Jason Witten, because Blake Bell is a really excellent 260-pound blocker, so you can use him as a 6th blocker along the line like they did Witten last year. I love this.
But, Skip, the difference is that when you bring Blake Bell into the game, they know it's going to be a run. They're not throwing him passes. Yeah. Jarwin's in the game. They know it's going to be a run.
Unfortunately, I got to interrupt you, Shannon Sharpe. We are out of time once again, and I'm sorry because I had so much to say about this. But remember, we are back on tomorrow, 10 to noon Eastern, here on Fox Sports 1. Please stay safe, and most of all, please stay home.
No mercy.